If I could give you one secret today, just own it, that would guarantee to change the course of your life. It wouldn't be a lottery ticket, it wouldn't be a magic pill, and it wouldn't be something you could buy on Amazon. It would be a daily habit so small, so simple, that you might almost laugh at it. But here's the truth. Your life right now is the sum total of your habits. Every result you have, every success you've built, and every challenge you're still facing, they're all connected to what you repeatedly do. Here's the question. Are your habits building your future, or are they breaking it? Today, I'm going to show you how changing just owning daily habit can create a ripple effect so powerful, it can rewrite the story of your life. And I promise, by the time we're done, you won't be able to go back to your old ways. Sound good? Imagine for a moment that you had the power to make one small, almost invisible change in your daily life that would, over time, completely transform who you are, what you're capable of, and the results you experience in every area. Most people think change has to be dramatic, overwhelming, or exhausting. They picture long, grueling hours at the gym, cutting out every food they love, waking up at 4 a.m., or quitting their job overnight to follow their passion. But that's not how real, lasting transformation happens. In truth, the most profound changes often begin so small, they barely register in your conscious awareness. They slip into your life quietly, without fanfare, but they accumulate a power that, if left to grow, becomes unstoppable. The principle here is simple but life-changing small changes, repeated consistently, lead to massive results over time. Think about the idea of getting just 1% better every day. 1%, it's so small, it's almost laughable. If you were in school and you scored a 70% on a test, getting 1% better the next time wouldn't even raise your grade by a whole letter. If you ran a mile in 10 minutes, running it in 9 minutes and 54 seconds doesn't seem like a huge victory, but here's where most people get it wrong. They underestimate the power of compounding. Over days, weeks, months, and years, these tiny improvements multiply. If you improve just 1% every single day for 1 year mathematically, you wouldn't just be 365% better, you'd be 37 times better. That's the magic of compounding. The small things don't stay small. Picture 2 planes taking off from Los Angeles, headed toward New York City. If one plane is just 1 degree off course, nobody notices at takeoff. It's such a tiny shift that it's invisible to the naked eye. But keep going for a few hours and that plane will land hundreds of miles away from its intended destination. That's your life. The small course corrections you make today, the seemingly insignificant daily habits, determine where you end up 5, 10, or 20 years from now. It's not the one big decision you make in a moment of inspiration that shapes your destiny. It's the thousands of micro decisions you make without even realizing it. Here's a practical example. Let's say you decide to drink an extra glass of water every morning when you wake up. That's it. No fancy supplements, no detox plan, just 1 glass of water. On day 1, nothing happens. Day 2, still nothing noticeable. But after a week, you start to feel a little more alert in the mornings. After a month, you notice your skin looks better. After a year, that one habit has made it easier for you to hydrate throughout the day, which helps you focus better at work, which leads to better performance, which opens doors to new opportunities. And all you did was start with 1 glass of water. You didn't change your life in a dramatic way. You let the habit do the heavy lifting. Now, the emotional truth here is that most of us don't give ourselves permission to start small because we've been conditioned to think that bigger is better. We want the 6-pack in 6 weeks, the dream job in 3 months, the relationship transformation in a single date night. But think about it. The life you're living now wasn't built in 1 day. It was built by repeated actions, repeated thoughts, repeated choices. If those choices have led you somewhere you're not completely happy with, the good news is that you can start making different choices today. And you don't have to overhaul your entire life to do it. You just have to start the ripple. Your challenge, your call to action right now is to pick one area of your life where you want to see improvement, just one, and ask yourself, what is the smallest, easiest, most repeatable habit I could adopt that would move me 1% closer to where I want to be? Not 10%, not 50, just 1. If you want to be healthier, maybe it's doing 10 squats every morning before you brush your teeth. If you want to grow your mind, maybe it's reading 1 page of a book each night before bed. If you want stronger relationships, maybe it's sending 1 message of genuine appreciation to someone every day. Here's the trick. The habit has to be so small, so simple, that you can't possibly talk yourself out of it. The reason most people fail to change their habits is not because they're lazy or unmotivated. It's because they start too big. They set a goal so massive that when life gets busy, they can't sustain it. But if you start tiny, you create momentum. And momentum is addictive. Once you feel it, you want more of it. When you think about 1% improvements, remember that it works both ways. Just like small good habits compound to create extraordinary results, small bad habits compound to create disaster. Skipping one workout doesn't ruin your health, but skipping it repeatedly turns into months of inactivity. Having one late night won't destroy your energy, but having them regularly drains your vitality. Every habit is a seed. You decide what you're planting. So when I tell you to change one daily habit, I'm not telling you to change your life overnight. I'm telling you to plant a seed today that will grow into the life you've always wanted. That's the magic. You don't have to see the results immediately to know they're on the way. You trust the process. You trust the compound effect. You trust that one glass of water, one page of a book, one phone call, one act of kindness, done today and again tomorrow, is enough to start bending your future in a new direction. And here's the beautiful thing. When you start small and stay consistent, one habit tends to lead to another. You start drinking more water, and you naturally want to eat a little healthier. You eat healthier, and you have more energy to exercise. You exercise, and you start sleeping better. You sleep better, and your mood improves. Your mood improves, and suddenly your relationships are thriving. All from one small change, so don't wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect motivation. All you need is one habit, 1%, and the decision to start today. The future version of you is already thanking you for it. Now it's time to take that first step, because every step counts, and the first one counts the most. Every habit you have today, good or bad, is not just something you do. It's a reflection of who you believe you are. This is why real change doesn't start with what you do. It starts with who you think you are. People try to change their habits by focusing only on the action itself. They decide, I'm going to eat healthier, or I'm going to work out more, or I'm going to stop procrastinating. They may succeed for a few days, or even a few weeks. But sooner or later, life throws them a curveball and they slip back into old patterns. And the reason isn't lack of willpower, it's that their self-image never changed. They were trying to graft a new habit onto an old identity, and that's like planting a flower in toxic soil. It can't thrive until the soil changes. Let's say there's a person who's trying to quit smoking. If someone offers them a cigarette and they respond with, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit," what does that reveal? It says that deep down, they still see themselves as a smoker who is attempting to quit, but a smoker nonetheless. Now imagine the same situation, but the person responds with, "No thanks, I don't smoke." That's an identity shift. The first person is fighting against their own self-image every day. The second person is simply acting in alignment with who they believe they are. And when your actions are consistent with your identity, habits stop being a struggle, they become automatic. This is why I always tell people that when you're working on a new habit, the most important question you can ask yourself isn't, what do I want to do? It's, who do I want to become? Because the moment you start seeing yourself as that person, your brain goes to work aligning your behaviors with that new image. Your mind doesn't like conflict between your beliefs and your actions. So if you genuinely believe you are a healthy person, you'll feel uncomfortable eating fast food every day. If you believe you are a learner, you'll naturally feel drawn to reading and personal growth. If you believe you are a leader, you'll act with integrity and responsibility because to do otherwise would contradict your identity. The emotional truth here is that identity is powerful because it's personal. When your habits are just about outcomes, like losing 10 pounds or earning more money, it's easy to give up when things get tough. But when your habits are about your identity, about becoming someone you're proud of, giving up feels like betraying yourself. And we will do almost anything to avoid betraying ourselves. Here's a practical example. Imagine you want to become a reader. You could set a goal to read 30 books this year, but that's an outcome-based goal. It's entirely possible to fail at that goal and feel discouraged. Instead, what if you decide, I am the kind of person who reads every day? That's an identity-based approach. Even if you read for just 2 minutes one day, you're living in alignment with that identity. Over time, those minutes will grow because the habit is anchored to who you are, not to some arbitrary number. The mistake most people make is they try to change their identity after they've proven it with results. They think, once I lose weight, I'll see myself as fit, or once I've saved a certain amount, I'll see myself as financially responsible. But it works the other way around. You decide on the identity first, and then your behavior follows. And yes, at first, it might feel fake. It might feel like you're lying to yourself, but you're not. You're just choosing to live into a future version of yourself before you've arrived. This is how transformation works. When you adopt a new identity, you need evidence to support it. This is where habits come in. Every time you perform your new habit, you're casting a vote for that identity. If your identity is, I am a healthy person, then every time you choose a salad over fries, you cast a vote. Every time you go for a walk instead of sitting on the couch, you cast a vote. No single vote will decide the outcome of the election, but the more votes you cast, the stronger your new identity becomes until it's unshakable. And here's something important, you don't have to be perfect. People often think they've failed at an identity if they slip up once or twice. But your identity is shaped by the majority of your votes, not by one isolated choice. Missing one workout doesn't make you not a fit person, any more than eating one salad makes you a healthy person. What matters is the trend, the pattern, the dominant story you're telling yourself through your daily actions. So here's your challenge, your call to action. Decide right now who you want to be. Not 10 years from now, not after you've fixed yourself. Right now, write it down and be specific. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, say, I am the kind of person who takes daily action toward my goals. Instead of saying, I want to be healthier, say, I am the kind of person who moves my body every day and fuels it with nutritious food. Once you have that identity, start looking for the smallest daily habit that aligns with it and do it every single day. No excuses, no negotiations. You're not doing a task, you're reinforcing who you are. Remember this: when your identity changes, your life changes. Because identity drives behavior and behavior creates results. If you want different results, you have to start with a different identity. Stop saying, I'm trying to be healthy. Stop saying, I'm trying to get organized. Stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined. Start saying, I am a healthy person. I am an organized person. I am a disciplined person. Speak it. Act it. Live it. Every time you do, you're casting another vote, strengthening that identity until one day you realize you're not trying anymore. You just are. That's the magic. Habits become effortless when they are simply a reflection of who you are. And the moment you decide on that identity, you stop working against yourself and start working with yourself. Change stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a natural extension of the person you've chosen to become. That's when transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Some habits don't just change one part of your life, they change everything. These are what I call keystone habits. A keystone in architecture is the central stone at the top of an arch. It holds the whole structure together. Remove it and the arch collapses. In your life, keystone habits are those core behaviors that trigger a chain reaction, influencing other habits, routines, and outcomes without you having to consciously think about them. You change one of these, and it starts to pull the rest of your life in a new direction almost automatically. Take exercise as an example. When someone makes the decision to work out regularly, it doesn't just make them physically stronger. They start sleeping better at night because their body is using its energy more effectively. Better sleep improves mood and concentration. A better mood leads to healthier food choices because they feel more in control. Healthy food improves energy levels, which makes it easier to keep exercising. Suddenly, that one habit, getting in a workout, has improved nearly every area of their life. They didn't set out to overhaul their diet, their sleep schedule, or their emotional state, but those changes came as a natural side effect. Another powerful keystone habit is keeping a daily journal. On the surface, it's just writing words on a page, but in practice, it improves self-awareness, sharpens thinking, and reduces stress. That clarity leads to better decision-making. Better decisions improve relationships, work performance, and even financial choices. Again, you didn't directly target all those areas. You just committed to one central habit that caused a ripple effect. The reason keystone habits are so powerful is that they don't demand that you change everything all at once. They're like pulling a lever that makes multiple gears move at the same time. Instead of using willpower to fight separate battles in every area of your life, you focus on one habit that acts as a force multiplier. It makes other positive behaviors easier and sometimes even inevitable. The emotional hook here is that keystone habits give you momentum, and momentum changes your relationship with effort. At first, change feels like pushing a boulder uphill. You need a lot of energy just to get moving. But once you get the right habit in place, one that automatically improves other parts of your life, that boulder starts rolling downhill. The effort doesn't go away, but it feels lighter because you're working with the natural flow of your life instead of against it. Here's a practical story. I once met someone who felt stuck, tired, unmotivated, overwhelmed. She was trying to eat better, exercise, get more organized, and improve her career all at once. And she was failing at all of them, not because she lacked desire, but because she was spreading her energy too thin. I asked her to pick just one habit to focus on for 30 days. She chose going for a brisk walk every morning before work. It seemed too small, too simple to make a real difference. But within 2 weeks, she noticed she was sleeping better. Because she felt more energized, she started cooking healthier dinners instead of ordering takeout. Feeling lighter and more alert gave her confidence to speak up in meetings at work. That confidence led to a new project opportunity. All of that came from one keystone habit, a morning walk. If you're serious about change, your task is to identify your own keystone habit. Look at your life and ask, what's one daily action that, if I committed to it, would naturally lead to improvements in multiple areas? For some, it's exercise. For others, it's planning their day the night before. For others still, it's a morning meditation or reading 10 pages of a book. The key is that it's something you can do consistently, something that will produce a cascade of benefits beyond the action itself. Once you've identified your keystone habit, protect it like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. This isn't the habit you treat casually. This is the one you show up for no matter what. It's your anchor. Even on your worst days, you don't skip it. And the more consistent you are, the more you'll see how it starts to shape your other behaviors without you forcing it. It's important to note that keystone habits can work in reverse. 2. There are negative keystone habits, destructive behaviors that pull the rest of your life in the wrong direction. Think about staying up late scrolling through your phone. That one habit makes you tired the next day, which lowers your productivity, which increases stress, which makes you more likely to eat junk food, which affects your health, which impacts your confidence, and so on. Just like positive keystone habits lift everything else, negative ones drag everything down. Changing one of these negative keystone habits can free you from a downward spiral you might not even realize you're in. This is why the call to action is simple but urgent. Choose your keystone habit intentionally. Don't let it choose you by default. Spend time today thinking about what single habit could have the biggest ripple effect in your life if you mastered it, and then commit to it for the next 30 days, no matter what. Even if everything else feels chaotic, you protect that one habit, you make it non-negotiable. Because when that habit is in place, it will start aligning other parts of your life without constant effort. The beauty of this approach is that it gives you hope without overwhelming you. You don't have to climb the entire mountain today. You just have to take one solid step, the right step, and let the momentum carry you upward. That's the power of a keystone habit. It's not about doing more, it's about doing the right thing that makes everything else easier. Once you've experienced it, you'll never want to live without it. Your environment is either working for you or against you every single day. And most people don't realize just how much influence it has over their habits, their energy, and even their identity. We like to think that our habits are purely a matter of willpower and discipline, but in reality, your surroundings are quietly shaping your behavior far more than your motivation ever will. If you've ever tried to eat healthy while your pantry is full of cookies and chips, you've already experienced this firsthand. It's not that you don't want to stick to your plan, it's that your environment is constantly sending you cues that make the wrong choice the easy choice. If you want to set yourself up for success, you have to become the architect of your environment. This means deliberately designing the spaces where you spend the most time so that they naturally support the habits you want and make the habits you don't want more difficult. Think of it like setting up a game you can win. When your environment is aligned with your goals, you're no longer relying on sheer willpower to do the right thing. You've made the right thing the path of least resistance. Take a simple example. Let's say you want to start eating more fruit and less processed snacks. You could write it in your planner, promise yourself you'll do it, or repeat it in your head every morning. But all of that will still leave you vulnerable when you're tired, stressed, or distracted. Instead, put a bowl of fresh fruit on the kitchen counter where you see it every time you walk in, and put the processed snacks in a cabinet that's high up and out of sight. That one change shifts the default choice in your favor. The fruit becomes the easy option and the snacks become something you have to go out of your way to get. You didn't increase your willpower, you reduced the need for it. Your environment is full of triggers, and every habit you have is linked to some kind of cue, whether you're aware of it or not. If your phone is next to your bed at night, the cue to scroll through social media before sleeping is almost impossible to resist. If your running shoes are buried in the back of the closet, the cue to go for a jog never happens. The solution is to control those cues. Remove the ones that lead to bad habits and amplify the ones that lead to good ones. Want to start reading more? Leave a book on your pillow so you see it when you go to bed. Want to stop hitting snooze in the morning? Put your alarm clock across the room so you have to get out of bed to turn it off. One of the most underestimated aspects of environment design is social environment. The people you spend time with are like a living version of your surroundings, and they can either elevate you or drag you down. If you're trying to be more positive, but you spend most of your time with people who complain constantly, you'll find yourself pulled toward negativity without even realizing it. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who live the way you want to live, people who are committed to growth, learning, health, and contribution, those values start to rub off on you naturally. You adapt to the norms of the group. This is why joining a community or accountability group can be such a powerful boost for building habits. You're reshaping your environment by reshaping your circle. There's also the mental environment to consider. This is about what you're feeding your mind on a daily basis. If your environment is filled with constant noise, negativity, and distraction, The TV on in the background, the news blaring bad headlines, your phone pinging with endless notifications, it's going to be harder to focus and create. But if you fill your environment with uplifting music, inspiring books, motivational quotes on your walls, and quiet spaces for deep work, your mind will reflect that calm and clarity. The emotional hook here is realizing that your environment is always sending you messages about who you are and what's normal for you. If your desk is cluttered, it tells you that chaos is acceptable. If your fridge is full of healthy options, it tells you that you're the kind of person who takes care of your body. Your surroundings don't just influence your behavior, they reinforce your identity. And when your identity aligns with your goals, success feels natural instead of forced. Your call to action is to take an honest look at the spaces you spend the most time in, your home, your workspace, your car, and ask yourself, is this environment making it easier or harder for me to live the life I want? Then pick one thing you can change today to make your desired habit easier. It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul. It could be as simple as laying out your workout clothes before bed so they're ready in the morning, clearing your desk of distractions, or creating a dedicated space for your most important work. Small changes to your environment often produce big changes in your behavior. Once you start designing your environment with intention, you'll notice something amazing. You no longer have to fight against yourself as much. The energy you used to spend on resisting temptations or forcing yourself to take action can now be spent on making progress. You've created a space where the right choice is the easy choice. And when you live in that kind of environment day after day, your habits start to take care of themselves. That's when success stops feeling like a constant battle and starts feeling like the natural result of the world you've built around you. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to make new habits stick is because they try to create them in isolation. They see a behavior they want to start doing, and they try to force it into their day with no anchor, no connection, no context. It's like trying to float a balloon in the middle of the air without a string to hold it down. It might stay up for a moment, but it eventually drifts away. This is where the concept of habit stacking becomes a game changer. Habit stacking is the practice of linking a new habit you want to build to an existing habit you already do automatically. So the existing habit acts as a trigger for the new one. You're not creating a habit from scratch, you're piggybacking on a behavior that's already ingrained in your life. Think about your morning routine. You probably already brush your teeth without having to think about it. You don't need to remind yourself. You don't need to psych yourself up. You just do it because it's part of who you are. That's a perfect anchor for a new habit. If you've been wanting to start meditating, you could stack it right after brushing your teeth. After I brush my teeth in the morning, I will sit down and meditate for 2 minutes. Suddenly, your new habit isn't floating in your day hoping to find a place. It's tethered to a moment that already exists. The beauty of habit stacking is that it removes the mental energy of deciding when to do your habit. Decision fatigue is real, and the more choices you have to make in a day, the less energy you have for your most important behaviors. By attaching your new habit to an existing one, you eliminate the when question entirely. You know exactly when it's going to happen because it's built into something you already do. This consistency is what helps a habit take root. Let's look at another example. Suppose you want to start journaling, but every time you try, you forget or tell yourself you'll do it later, and later never comes. Instead, you could decide, after I pour my morning coffee, I will open my journal and write one sentence. Coffee is already part of your day. You don't forget it, you don't skip it. So linking your journaling habit to it means you get a built-in reminder. And here's the magic: even if you only write one sentence, at first, you've successfully reinforced the habit. Over time, you'll naturally write more because starting becomes effortless. Habit stacking works because your brain loves patterns. When you link two actions together consistently, your mind begins to treat them as one sequence. The trigger, the first habit, fires up a chain reaction that makes the second habit automatic. It's like when you hear the opening music of a TV show you love and your body instinctively reaches for the popcorn. You're wiring in associations, and once they're there, they're hard to break. The emotional power of this is that it removes the feeling of starting over every time you want to do something new. When you try to build a habit from scratch, it can feel like pushing a heavy boulder uphill every single day. But when you use a habit you already have as a foundation, the boulder is already halfway up the hill. You're using momentum instead of fighting against inertia. The key to making habit stacking work is to be specific and realistic. The existing habit you choose should be something you never skip, and the new habit should be small enough that you can do it even on your busiest or most exhausting days. If your stack is too ambitious, after I brush my teeth, I'll run 5 miles. You'll quickly find excuses to skip it. Start small, at after I brush my teeth. I'll put on my running shoes and step outside. Once the smaller habit is locked in, you can naturally expand it. It's also important to pay attention to the order. The trigger habit has to be something you already do at the same time and in the same place each day, so the connection is strong. If the trigger is inconsistent, the new habit will be inconsistent too. For example, if you want to drink more water and you decide to do it after I check my email, but you check your email at random times, the habit won't stick. But if you tie it to something fixed, like after I put my dinner plate in the sink, the anchor will hold. Here's your call to action. Think of 3 habits you already do daily without fail. They could be as simple as making your bed, turning on the coffee machine, locking the door when you leave the house, or plugging in your phone at night. Then choose one new habit you want to create and stack it onto one of those existing habits. Keep it small and specific. Instead of, I'll start working out, say, after I put on the kettle in the morning, I'll do 10 push-ups. Instead of, I'll start practicing gratitude, say, after I put my head on the pillow at night, I'll say one thing I'm grateful for. Once you've set your stack, commit to it for 30 days. At first, you might have to remind yourself consciously, but soon, the 2 habits will become inseparable. You won't feel like you're forcing yourself to meditate, read, or exercise. It will just be what you do after brushing your teeth, drinking your coffee, or making your bed. That's when you know the habit has stuck, and that's when you can start stacking again, building layer upon layer of positive behaviors into your day until your entire routine is infused with the habits that shape the life you want. Every habit you've ever built that truly lasted wasn't powered by sheer discipline alone. It was fueled by emotion. Logic can spark interest, but it's emotion that sustains commitment. You can know all the reasons you should exercise, eat better, or work on your goals, but knowledge alone won't drag you out of bed on the days you feel tired, overwhelmed, or unmotivated. That's where your why comes in. Your why is the deep, emotional reason behind your habit, the one that hits you in the heart, not just the head. People fail at building habits not because the habit is too hard, but because their reason for doing it isn't strong enough to withstand the challenges life will throw at them. If your reason is purely logical, I should work out because it's healthy, it's too easy to dismiss it in the moment. You'll tell yourself, I'll just skip today. It's not a big deal. But if your reason is deeply personal, I work out because I want to be able to play with my kids without getting winded, or I want to walk my daughter down the aisle when she gets married. Suddenly, skipping doesn't feel like a harmless choice. It feels like turning your back on something that matters deeply to you. The truth is, emotion gives habits urgency and meaning. Without it, habits feel like chores. With it, they feel like commitments to something bigger than yourself. Imagine someone who decides to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to work on their side business. If they're doing it just because it would be nice to earn extra money, that reason might not be strong enough to keep them going after a week of late nights. But if they're doing it because they want to bring their spouse home from a stressful job, or they want to fund a cause that saved their life, then each early morning becomes a mission, not just a task. Finding your why starts with asking better questions. Instead of asking, what do I want to do? Ask, why does this matter to me on a gut level? And don't settle for the first answer you come up with. Go deeper. If your first answer is, I want to lose weight to be healthier, ask yourself, why do I want to be healthier? Maybe it's so you can travel the world. Then ask, why do I want to travel the world? Maybe it's because you want to create memories with your family. Keep peeling back the layers until you hit an answer that makes you feel something. Excitement, determination, even tears. That's your true why. Once you have that why, you need to keep it in front of you daily. It's not enough to discover it once and hope it stays in your mind. Life is noisy, and without reminders, even your deepest motivations can fade into the background. Write it down and put it somewhere you'll see it every day. On your bathroom mirror, your phone wallpaper, your car dashboard. Speak it out loud to yourself in the morning. Tell it to a friend or accountability partner so they can remind you when you start to drift. The more often you connect with your why, the stronger your emotional bond with your habit becomes. Here's a practical example. Someone who wants to save money could set up a habit of transferring 10 into savings every day. If their why is simply to save money, they might skip a day when temptation strikes. But if their why is to save for a down payment so my family can move out of our cramped apartment into a safe neighborhood with a backyard for the kids, suddenly skipping that transfer feels like delaying that dream. The act of saving becomes more than a financial transaction. It's an emotional investment in a future that matters to them. The emotional driver doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be personal. If you try to adopt a habit just because someone else says you should, it won't stick. You have to care about the outcome in a way that's tied to your own values, dreams, and experiences. That's why 2 people can do the exact same habit for the exact same number of days, but only one of them will keep going for years. the one whose heart is in it. Your call to action is to take one habit you're trying to build right now and get crystal clear on the emotional reason behind it. Ask yourself why you want it, and keep asking why until you reach a reason that stirs you. Once you have it, turn it into a statement you can repeat. I am doing this because, and fill in the rest with your personal why. Say it to yourself every time you start the habit, and especially on the days you don't feel like doing it. When your habits are powered by a strong why, they stop feeling like something you have to do and start feeling like something you get to do. The pull of your vision becomes stronger than the push of discipline. You no longer have to fight with yourself to stay consistent. You're drawn toward the habit because it's connected to something you love, something you want, or something you refuse to lose. And once you tap into that level of emotional energy, your habits don't just change what you do, they change who you are becoming. The final piece to making any habit last a lifetime is accountability, no matter how disciplined or self-motivated you think you are. There will be days when you simply don't feel like showing up. That's human nature. Life gets busy, energy dips, and even with the best intentions, you'll find reasons to put things off. Accountability is the safeguard against those moments. It's the safety net that catches you when willpower slips. When you know someone else is watching, when someone else cares whether or not you follow through, the odds of you sticking to your habit skyrocket. Think about it. If you tell yourself you're going to wake up early and go for a run, and you're the only one who knows about it, skipping is easy. You can hit snooze, roll over, and promise yourself you'll start again tomorrow without any real consequence. But if you've told a friend you'll meet them at the park at 6 a.m., suddenly that decision isn't just about you anymore. Now, skipping means letting them down. The discomfort of showing up tired is often less than the discomfort of breaking your word. That's the quiet power of accountability. It creates an external pressure that keeps you moving forward when internal motivation fades. Accountability can take many forms, and the best kind is the one that matches your personality and goals. Some people thrive in group environments where they can share progress and struggles with others on the same journey. Others prefer one-on-one partnerships where a friend, coach, or mentor checks in regularly. For some, accountability might mean posting publicly about their goal so others can follow their progress. The key is that there's a clear expectation and a clear consequence, even if that consequence is simply having to admit you didn't do what you said you would. A powerful example of this comes from people who join 30-day challenges online. The challenge itself isn't magic. The magic is that they're surrounded by others who are also committed, posting daily updates, cheering each other on, and noticing when someone disappears. That sense of being part of something bigger creates momentum that's hard to replicate alone. When you feel tempted to skip, you remember the group waiting to hear from you and you push through. The emotional hook of accountability is connection. We are wired to want to belong, to be seen, and to keep our word to others. When your habit is tied to relationships, even loose ones, it gains weight and significance. You're no longer just trying to drink more water, read more books, or save more money. You're showing your kids what consistency looks like. You're proving to your friends that you can follow through. You're strengthening bonds with people who share your values. That connection fuels your commitment in a way solitary discipline rarely can. But accountability isn't just about other people keeping you in line. It's also about learning to keep yourself honest. This means tracking your progress, being brutally truthful about whether you did what you said you would, and facing the reality of your choices. A simple notebook, habit tracker app, or calendar can be a powerful accountability tool. Each checkmark becomes a little win, a visual reminder that you're building something worth protecting. On the flip side, a missed day is a nudge to examine what happened and recommit before the lapse becomes a pattern. One practical approach is to create what's called a commitment contract. You write down your habit, your frequency, and the time frame you're committing to. Then you sign it, and you have someone else sign it as a witness. This turns your habit into a promise, not just an idea. You can even add stakes to it. If you miss your habit without a legitimate reason, you donate to a cause you don't support or give a set amount of money to your accountability partner. The goal isn't punishment. It's to create enough friction around breaking your habit that keeping it becomes the easier choice. Here's the call to action. Choose one habit you're working on right now and set up an accountability system for it. That could mean texting a friend every day to confirm you did it. It could mean joining an online community where you post your progress. It could mean hiring a coach or mentor who will check in with you. The method doesn't matter as much as the consistency. The key is that someone or something is holding you to your word. And remember, accountability isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. The most successful athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators in the world have coaches, mentors, and peers who push them to stay consistent. They don't rely on motivation alone because they know motivation is fleeting. They build systems that make success inevitable, and accountability is one of those systems. When you surround yourself with people who expect the best from you and are willing to speak up when you start slipping, you begin to rise to meet that expectation. You start showing up not just for yourself, but for them. And over time, that standard becomes internalized. You become the kind of person who follows through because that's who you are now. That's the real transformation accountability offers. It doesn't just help you keep a habit, it shapes your identity into someone who keeps promises, especially to themselves. Once that shift happens, your habits aren't just actions you do. They're proof of the person you've become.